Remember back in the days of our youthful spirituality when we had just woken up and we believed that the law of attraction was sovereign over the course of our life, and that we had to architect and manufacture an energy field for ourselves that was in pure resonance with the future that we thought we desired. As if the expansion of the universe and the ascension of our soul was a linear progression of cause and effect, rather than a quantum continuum of light moved by love. Did you know that your expansion doesn't need to be energetically sewn together by you, and does not need to be propelled by constant death and rebirth? You don't need to go down in a blaze of glory in order to arise like a phoenix from the ashes, brand new in yet another scary world, doomed to your self-fulfilling fate of yet another bone-crunching compression and combustion further down the line when Mercury goes back into retrograde or the solar flares erupt again. And yes, we get that, as the Apostle Paul wrote, if we participate with Christ's death and resurrection, we will also live on in that quantum continuum, since life everlasting is all that has ever been, and the universe expanding since the beginning still is. But you know that this process of death and rebirth is already always occurring at the speed of light on a quantum level. The most primordial pinprick particles of reality are flashing in and out of existence all the time. Every part of you is always resurrecting. So it doesn't have to also manifest as this whole tragic hero's journey thing that you keep experiencing every year or so. You don't have to keep falling apart and starting again in order to expand, because Christ already always is that resurrection process. You are in a constant biological renewal. Atoms are exchanged, proteins are rebuilt, cells divide and die and regenerate, elements in their current manifest form are always being reformed as a higher calibrating substance. You are materially continuous and materially changing at the same time. And since your life is already participating in death and rebirth at the microscopic level, we don't need to dramatize it at the physical and psychological and social levels too. We are free to just be alive, organically increasing your capacity for love and your measure of grace. Granted, the death and rebirth identity can be very comforting also. When times are hard, it promises renewal and continuity. But as a way of life, this framework of consciousness is impractical, inefficient, extremely energy expensive, and painful. It sucks. Every new season, you're like, I have to burst through this chrysalis so I can be a dragonfly. But what if, instead of mimicking what Jesus acted out in his torture, humiliation, crucifixion, death, and descent into the darkest pits of human experience, the bogs of pungent shame and the empty hollow of lonely nothingness, then to rise again into the brightness of living day and ascending on to the divine? What if, instead of mimicking this path, we choose to allow that he did this for us? One last phoenix plummet to fulfill all karmic cycles to completion. One last phoenix rise to prove life transcends even the seasons of nature. And it is done. And we are alive. And we are free. And we are sovereign here, now. Then what does the experience of expansion look like? When you remember who you really are, and you recognize what you're not, and you effectively let go and release patterns and systems that belong to outdated versions of you, then the natural, organic expansion of life force simply increases your capacity to meet life in a new way, to meet the challenges of life in a new way. And in fact, you become available for new dimensions of possibilities, for life force to overflow and connect you in entirely new ways, all because you're available for the expansion that is already always occurring here and now at the speed of light. Remember our verse for the season. The flowers have appeared in the countryside, and the season of singing has come. And the cooing of turtle doves is heard in our land. The fig tree ripens its figs. The blossoming vines spread their fragrance. Arise, come away, my darling. Come away with me, my beautiful one. That's Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verses 12 to 13. The cooing of turtle doves is heard in our land. So the turtle dove needs no inferno to validate his rise with the beloved in the garden among the vines and the flowers. And he hasn't scheduled his evolution around planetary alignments. He's not waiting for the snake to die and the fire horse to burst forth from the grave. He doesn't need to anticipate catastrophe in order to authorize renewal. He doesn't need to tear down the world order in order to reform. There's no flame glowing on the turtle dove's breast. He glows with iridescence, like a shiny cream and greys and lavender sheen, sage green, a soft spectrum, revealed only in Christic light. And yes, his energy is powered by the same quantum source that fuses stars and sustains galaxies and spontaneously combusts phoenixes and gently unfurls the ferns at sunrise. The source is the same, but the phoenix lives in the linear dimension, where propulsion requires compression and combustion. The turtle dove lives in an infinite dimension, an energy field of poise that never runs out, a song that keeps on singing. Continuous communion, no blaze of glory, no heroic collapse and rise again, no yearly crucifixion in order to feel reborn. The turtle dove at all times remembers, recognizes, and releases at the speed of light. The phoenix says, I must die in order to live. Noble. The turtle dove says nothing, just and then lifts on an unseen thermal, riding currents already always present in the holy now. So since your expansion is occurring in an endlessly relational universe of complex networks of uncertain currents that are all also expanding, becoming louder and more urgent, none of your mastery training will ever equip you for safely architecting and manufacturing your energy field to rise into resonance with the life you think you want. Because the actualizing future will always be much grander than you can imagine, precisely because you exist in a harmony that is also always expanding. It's not just your soul that is expanding, it's every cubic inch of space-time. And it's all going to be filled with meaning. So you'll always be entering into events that challenge you. There will always be experiences that seem bigger than you can handle until you've handled them. And if you are trying to architect your expansion, then you're always operating inside a phenomenological universe that's yours alone, made up of the unique configuration of data points that you've collected to inform yourself of what's what. And you're missing 99% of the picture. And you will constantly be experiencing death and rebirth, tearing down the mental constructs that you've created to help you calibrate, tearing down relationships, tearing down goals and ideals, blazing emotional fires, and then gloriously rising from the ashes of your burnt out corpse to prove that you made it yet again. And there's nothing wrong with that way, and you will keep moving forward. But it is so energy expensive, and all that energy can be released into Christ for the benefit of all who thirst. Listen, this is Jeremiah chapter 17, verses 7 to 8. Blessed is the one who believes and trusts and relies on the Lord, and whose hope and confident expectation is the Lord. For you will be nourished like a tree planted by the waters, that spreads out its roots by the river, and will not fear the heat when it comes, but your leaves will be green and moist. And you will not be anxious and concerned in a year of drought, nor will you ever stop bearing fruit. The heat will come, sure. The year of drought will come, sure. And instead of bursting into flame again, you will be fine. No longer identifying as someone who must suffer the struggle to grow. You remember who you are. You recognize what you are not. And you release attachment like an exhale, and you lift with the unseen thermals that already always are, just like a turtle dove. So for the next 2 weeks, as we practice expansion, keep remembering Jesus already did this. And instead of a battle cry, you just go and return to poise. Expansion is organic in Christ. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Read more about the metaphysics of sovereignty in the book, The Sovereign Way, on Amazon. And now let's open the round table in the Oasis and talk more about the sovereign mastery of expansion.